Okay, first things first, how are your starts? Because that will be the most important thing tomorrow night. It's all going to come down to that.
My starts lately have been actually really good. The one problem is that sometimes we come here and we have new stuff, like new clutch springs and new everything, which I kind of had the problem with that earlier. And when you have new stuff in, the pull isn't quite right and it's kind of mushy feeling, so it's actually really hard to do good starts. So I actually went to something that's a lot more used. So that's kind of like the key. And I actually had the same issue in Birmingham. Like we just had all new stuff and it just was very on off and I had a really hard time with starting. So I'm hoping that by tomorrow, everything's going to be broken in and it'll feel good, because that's my clutch at home and everything that I've raced with at home has been feeling really good. But when you have new stuff, it's just not quite broken in yet. So the clutch pull doesn't feel quite right. So I'm hoping that by tomorrow, because that is very necessary here with how tight it is.
Yeah, speaking of how tight it is, I don't think anyone expected this. We saw the track map, so we knew it was going to be small. But yeah, I don't know how it's going to race.
This is a whole nother level of tightness, not going to lie. I mean, I've done one race like that, which is Dortmund in 2009.
I was going to say like Stuttgart or something.
Quite a ways ago, so I don't really have the settings in my pocket. But no, I don't really have to change anything on the bike, but it felt a lot tighter than I even thought it was going to be. There's just a lot of, you know, tight areas, and it's not even necessarily so much what's in the stadium, but I don't want to say ruins it, but what makes it difficult is coming out of the stadium, like the whole zigzag thing, like that's what takes out all of the momentum. So that was a little bit funky. When it comes to the fun factor of just riding, I had a good time. Like it was super fun out there. And the most trickiest part is actually the whoops, which I'm glad that it's a long set. They were really steep and they're actually extremely chewed up. And at least today I smashed them, so that's a big confidence booster. So that's probably the most difficult part, because part of the track, the rest of the track is super simple.
Yeah, if the whoops weren't built up hard and like let you show your technique, I don't know where you would pass out there. But you proved today that's going to be your spot, so that you can sleep at night knowing if you start fifth, you've got your spot in your back pocket.
Yes, and nonetheless, like even if the starts aren't good, like it's gonna be fun trying to see where you can make stuff happen, you know, like. But yeah, it's just very different than what we're used to, and quite honestly, even motor-wise, like my bike is not set up for this at all. Like I just feel like I can use first gear everywhere around here.
Yeah, you just shouldn't be on a 450 on this track.
No. I feel like you can actually go a lot faster on a 250.
Heading into the back section, if you're behind back markers, you're just going to have to follow them. Like, I don't think it's possible, even if someone moves out the way, I don't think it's possible to pass anyone outside the stadium.
Yeah, the back markers either have to be really aware of when, you know, the leaders are coming and really like move off the track, or you're going to have to move them, literally. So it's going to be an interesting one.
Obviously, this is the World Supercross Championship. This is arena cross, essentially. When you turn up and you see a track like this, is it a bit of a bummer? I mean, it's awesome to be in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
If this track was in a country that wasn't as cool, it would probably be tougher to swallow.
I agree.
But is it a bit of a disappointment? Because obviously, ideally, you'd take something that you learn from here into AMA Supercross, but you're not going to learn anything here at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is a whole nother level of tightness, like we said. Even just riding and practicing, I'm having a blast out there. Like just being on my dirt bike, like it's been fun. It was nice to shake the cobwebs off today. But then when it comes to the racing side of things, that's a whole different story, right? Like there's gonna probably be a lot of bar banging going on here. And it's a style of racing that we're in general not really used to. Not the bar banging, but just with how tight it is. So, you know, I always take the positive from everything. I saw right away that the dirt looked pretty cool, even though it is funky. It started getting a lot drier.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was going to break down like Seattle used to in the 2011, 2012.
It really threw us for a loop, because even they just built the whoops before we went out for practice. And then I actually thought, because of how loose the dirt is, that the whoops were just going to disintegrate. Yeah. But they actually got really cupped. And I said the opposite. I said, I don't think they're going to get that cupped. They're going to get like, they'll just be gone. Yeah. Which it was the complete opposite. They're extremely cupped, actually. So, but that was, I think, the most fun part of the track, just because they were kind of difficult. Yeah. So
it gives you an opportunity to show how good you are, which that's what it's about.
Yeah, it seemed like that people were either rolling or skipping them or kind of like moving to the side. And luckily, I haven't really done a click change on my bike, so I really know my bike pretty well, even though this bike was boxed up for a while. But once I started doing a couple of laps and I got confident, I was able to just send it in there. So, but nonetheless, like you know, that can bite you really quickly. So you can't disrespect them by any means.
World Supercross, you've had like the worst luck ever at these races. I feel like ever since this series started, you've been cursed. So is that going to end this weekend?
Yeah, well, that's what happened when we had like a 3-month break. It just gave it time to reset. You know, whoever had the voodoo dolls, they put them things up in the closet. So we're good now, dude. It's funny. Last year I was like feeling good on the bike. I was P1 a lot of the practices, and then I'd go and something would happen in the races, and I'd get like, I've been in this B practice in like every race I've done over here.
Yeah.
So whatever. But now I finally actually got to ride in between these races and actually do some riding. So I feel good.
What, have you actually been on a program then? Like hammering down for the last 4 months?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I can be. I mean, doing my own bike work, all my own stuff. So, you know, I'm not riding every single day, but try to get, 3 days a weekend, Supercross. So I was riding quite a bit. I've gone and kind of been other places too, doing some other stuff. Was in Spain for a week, riding some stuff here and there. So kind of a little all over the place, but not too bad. Nothing like what I was doing before the other races I've done over here.
Can we get some real talk about the track? Just give us your honest opinion.
I mean, it's an arena cross. I mean, this is what it is. The dirt's actually not bad inside.
Yeah, it's surprising how well it's holding up.
The dirt is good inside. Outside, I mean, we're first geared and we're threading the needle to get through those corners, baby, getting skinny on them. Got to tuck them shoulders in. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I haven't ever done a 2-row start in my life. So, you know what? It's exciting. It's new. It's different. Catch the fever, baby. You know the vibes.
Whoops are going to be the biggest place to make a pass, for sure. I don't know if there is another place.
It's the only place, for sure. Just the whoops. Other than the whoops here, I mean, you're just trying not to hit someone, I'm thinking. It's pretty narrow and, we were joking before. It's like in the rhythm, like, what are we going 2-3 or 3-2? You know what I mean? So it's the whoops and that's it. So I think the biggest thing with this track is shout out to Fro Daddy. It's a start. You know what I mean? If you get a start, you're fine. If you don't, you're not.
Obviously, you're going to be up front because your bad luck is now... The curse has been lifted.
Thanks, man. We got to speak that into existence anyways. We'll
so when you hit back... Say you come into back markers at the end of the whoops. I don't know what you're going to do other than sit behind them for a lap and then go again the next time.
Yeah. I mean, hey.
There's no way you're passing anyone in that back section.
No. It's definitely going to be one of those things where you just make a game time decision. But if you try to get dicey and like throw it in on someone, you're just going to lose time,
Yeah.
And if you're just riding, everyone's going to be going the same. So, I mean, unless those guys are real aware of the blue flag, what are you going to do, Like, to make the triple on a 250, you kind of got to rip the corner.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a big triple, but it's tight leading up to it. So, we got the whoops, we got the start. You know what I mean? Other than that, I don't really know what to say. I mean, like I said, it's new, it's different. I've never raced on a really small track like this. I've never done a 2-row start. So, Lord willing, we'll be on the front row and all will be well.
Last thing, what can you tell us about next year? What are the chances of you doing American Supercross with this team?
Dude, I wish I could tell you anything, honestly. I mean, I need a job at some point. I need to do something, right? Like, I need to do something. Even like this race, like, whatever, track's different, things are different. It's been a while, but I'm just stoked to be racing and doing something, Like, I've been bored. So I love racing. I still love doing all of this. So I would love to have an opportunity, but I really don't know.
There is a chance, though, isn't there, that this team goes into America?
There's a chance. Yeah, and I don't know what the percentages are on everything. Like, we haven't got that far with the talks. It's literally like, hey, would you be interested? I mean, depending on what the program looks like, I'd be interested, So it just depends. Other than that, I'm just trying to figure out, if I don't race in the U.S., what I'm going to do, This series is going to be a little different structure next year, so I don't think that's a full year plan, like kind of what I had planned on this year. So we'll see. I mean, I'd love to have a plan, trust me, I would. But
I think it's important that we say this, actually, because I think some people think you stepped away because you were over it. But if an opportunity presents itself and you can go 17 rounds of AMA Supercross, you've still got that desire and that fire inside you.
I definitely wasn't over it. There's a lot of things going on when I took that summer off.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I'm realistic. Like, no one's going to hire me after taking time off like that and then, having very lackluster results when I did race that year. So, I mean, I'm realistic. I understand it. I do still feel like I got a little bit of tread left on the tires, you know what I mean? Like, not Not like I'm 22 anymore, but I got some experience, baby. You know, we could be old, popping them gray hairs out, being old fox here and there. But we'll see, man. I would love to keep racing and doing what I love to do. The only gift that the good Lord gave me, you know what I mean? I ain't good at much, so it'd be nice to, it's nice to have a goal, something to work for.
Yeah.
I hate not having something to really strive for, you know? We're all that way. We've grown up our whole lives doing something that required everything we've got.
Yeah.
Transitioning from that is tough. I don't really feel like I'm ready to do that just yet, you know? So if I didn't get back on the bike and ride and still feel like I could go good, then whatever, you know, like that's fine, is what it is. But I still feel like I could go pretty good, you know?
Yeah, I feel like watching you in World Supercross, you can see that it's still there. I mean, it's not there all the time because the curse has kind of screwed up the results, but it's there in flashes.
In my defense, Birmingham, I shouldn't have been riding, right? Like I went there just to do the race.
Yeah.
My suspension was almost outdoor suspension. I rode like a day and a half before I went. I'd been hurt and didn't race since the last year.
Yeah.
So that one was, you know, a bit of an anomaly for me. It was a pretty rare occurrence where I was damn near embarrassed out there, you know what I mean? So today I rode, I felt a lot better, bike's better. I actually have real Supercross suspension, you know, somewhat, so we're good. The guys at AEO actually got me hooked up real good. We had a good test day last week, so we're better than we were, you know what I mean? We're all kind of in the same boat where none of us really know what's going on half the time with all of this, and we're all just trying to, you know, survive and advance, baby, you know the vibes, so.
Okay, first things first, how are your starts? Because that's always been a bit of an issue for you, and yeah, you're going to need them.
You know, they say you're as good as your last start, and I got 2 whole shots. So actually, I didn't.
Adelaide.
Yeah, in Adelaide. I actually didn't even. I got 1 and then 1 second place, so not too bad. So yeah, starts are going to be very key here. Hope they're good. We'll soon see. But yeah, be good.
Did the track like ride as you expected? Like it looks small. Did it feel smaller than it looks, or?
Yeah, it's fairly small, but after riding Adelaide, like it's a little bit longer. It's technical, like going outside and stuff, and coming back in. It's very tight and small. It's going to be very hard to pass other than the whoops. So, yeah, it's going to be some good racing.
It's kind of worked out nicely that the whoops are, like, they've stayed in shape. Yep. They're tough, because if they were shit, then you would really have nowhere to pass at all.
Yeah, exactly. I love the whoops, and that's kind of a separator, so it's good for me. So, yeah, I just want to, hopefully they keep them. They're not crazy big anyways, but yeah, with the track the way it is, like we need to keep the whoops like that just so there's good like somewhere to pass, you know. When
it came time to lap people in Adelaide, like how did you do that? Because watching those practices, when you get into back markers, I don't know how that's going to work. Yeah, to be honest, the lappers were awesome in Adelaide. Like they were respectful, and I kind of got lucky. I think a lot of the times you have a problem with lappers is when they're in a battle, right? And they're so focused on the guy that they're battling with, and then the leader comes around. That's when sometimes there's a problem. But other than that, yeah, it'll be good. Obviously, World Supercross has had its ups and downs. When you turn up here and you see a track like this, are you a bit bummed or disappointed? Like, obviously, it is a Supercross Championship. Yeah. This is Arena Cross. But is it all the same to you and, like, we'll just race whatever, or are you a bit bummed? No, I'm not bummed at all, because, for one, we're in Abu Dhabi, right? Like, I've never even had a Supercross race here. And I know it's small and tight, but that's what I was expecting. Yeah. I knew it was going to be small and tight. Just the fact to be racing here, I think, is really cool. And that's just, well, this is the biggest stadium they have, I mean, I think here. So, at least for this. So, not bummed at all. We're racing Abu Dhabi. I think that's really cool. And, yeah, the series has definitely had its ups and downs. And I hope the best for them. Hope we can keep this thing going. And it would be good for the sport. And it's cool to travel to these countries other than this jet lag. This jet lag is killing me bad, but we're surviving. I guess it's one of those things where if they put this track in Finland, probably be a bit harder to swallow, but the scenery and what we've got in Abu Dhabi makes it nicer. No, exactly. So just got to work with what we got. Like I said, I knew it would be small, but I just raced Adelaide first round of the Oz Supercross, and it was maybe just a tad smaller than this, but we didn't go outside. So very similar. So yeah, it was kind of just reminds me of that a little bit. You're here, which is a big deal. Yes. Because the road to this event has been Up and down for WSX.
Yes.
But very up and down for you. You were in,
Yes.
then you were out, then you
Yes.
were in, then you were out, and now
Yeah.
you're in. Definitely.
Yes. So getting here was a big deal. I'm really excited to be here. Rick Ware Racing and WSX with Adam Bailey, they really worked hard to get us here, and so I'm really excited about that. It's really cool to be a part of this and to be in Abu Dhabi. So this is we're living on a dream right now. So it has been up and down and tough mentally, kind of going back and forth. It's like, dude, I'm trying to ride, I'm trying to train. It's like everything's changing. It's like, dude, I'm stressed. So we made it here, and that's a win in itself.
Have you been riding a Yamaha 250? Because if you weren't going to come here, that would have been a complete waste of time. So I would understand if actually you haven't ridden this bike since Birmingham.
Yeah, so I have been riding the bike. The last 2 days I rode my Yamaha 450 just because I needed some parts for the 250, but because we weren't sure if we were coming, I didn't order any parts. So I will get back on that because we're here and we're also going to be in Australia. So I'm excited about it.
You were one of the first guys to ride the track. Thoughts?
Honestly, it's pretty good. It is a smaller stadium, but it doesn't feel as tight as, say, an arena cross race. So it felt pretty big. The lanes felt normal width. The berms may be a little bit shorter than normal, but for the most part, it felt good. Just a little bit shorter length lanes. So the dirt felt really good. Honestly, it had a lot of traction. It was a little bit loose on top, but it had a pretty hard base to it. So I'm excited about it.
Times like this, you're stoked you're on a Yamaha 250 because starts are going to be key.
Yes, my starts in particular haven't been super good on this bike. Just really not a lot of time to develop them. But yes, with the second row starts and being on a tight track like this, qualifying is going to need to be really good and 3 good starts. So that's really what I'm focused on.
I don't know where you guys are going to make passes because we do have one rhythm, but it's basic, so everyone will do the same thing. I think the best thing that could happen for this race is the track break down a lot, and then it will really bring some technique into it, and it will open it up for passes.
Yeah, and I think after riding the track now, I thought maybe it was going to break down more, but as we get more bikes on it, it's still may be the case. So we'll just have to see once a lot more bikes get out there, but so far it's honestly, I feel like best case scenario. And
last thing, your deal is done for next year?
Not yet. We're still working on that. We're still trying to figure out what that looks like. And
but it's looking positive, right?
It is looking positive, yeah.
First things first, how are your starts? Because I think you're going to be needing them tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, in Australia at round 1, it was tight like this, and I was pretty good at my starts there, so I'm hoping that translates over to this. Starts have felt good at home, but obviously it's different racing, so we will find out tomorrow night, I'm sure.
Obviously, this is the World Supercross Championship. So when you come to a race and it's a track like this, are you disappointed or bummed? Or like, does the fact that we're in Abu Dhabi make up for it?
Yeah, I mean, when you look outside, it's like, oh wow, this is cool. It's never been done before in Abu Dhabi. I mean, they were talking about it in the press conference. It's like to have UFC here a couple of weeks ago, to have NBA here, to have, you know, all these different things going on in this arena, and then now to have a track in here. I'm sure they've had their teething issues, I've heard, with diggers breaking and this and that, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, by tomorrow, hopefully they'll have everything dialed in. But I think the track's going to be tight, it's going to be intense, and a lot of good riders, so it's going to be hard to make up time. Am I bummed that it's not a different arena? I mean, I don't see any other arenas around here, so they can't really do anything else.
I'm actually surprised that Abu Dhabi doesn't have like a
like
full-blown stadium.
Yeah, you'd think that. I don't know, but yeah, they don't. I'm guessing this is the biggest one they've got, so just making do with what they've got and going out of the arena and back in, that's going to be different. So, yeah, we'll find out.
Any concerns about the dirt? Well, you didn't do press day. Well, you kind of did, but you didn't.
Yeah.
It held up. They did 3 laps, but it held up better than I thought.
Yeah, I do feel like with a lot of riders out there, though, it's gonna get hammered. I thought, looking at it, the triple face looked soft, but then when I went out there, it was fine. The berms are not very big, that's the only thing. it's going to be interesting. I think he's definitely going to break down a lot, though. So yeah, we'll see.
There's no way to make passes, I don't think. The best thing for passes would be if the track breaks down a lot.
Yeah, and then it gets tricky in the turns. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know what the outside part is going to be like, if there's going to be anything to separate anyone. I don't think there's going to be anything massive. Maybe the whoops, but I don't feel like they're even going to be too gnarly. So yeah, we'll see.
Last thing, how different is your bike set up for a track like this? Or not really?
Not really, no. It's the same. It's the same as my World Supercross bike in Birmingham. I mean, it works there. It works at MTF. When I'm riding, I just do my tight lines, and that's sort of it. I've made it kind of work here and everywhere. So I think my base is pretty good because it does seem to work everywhere.
Okay, so you kind of gave up your MXGP career to do this World Supercross thing. So far, you haven't got so many races in, but you're still stoked on the direction that you went in?
Yeah, sure. I'm still stoked because I really enjoy riding my bike, and this is for me a really important thing, to ride the dirt bikes. My MXGP career was quite good. I got a world champion, so that was my goal since I was a kid. And then, the last few years, I had a lot of work doing my own team, and I didn't really enjoy riding anymore. So that's why I changed my direction, and I'm really stoked about it. I know this championship is not going as we really want, but I mean, all the W6 team working really hard, to make it happen. And I really hope it's gonna work, because the organization is really nice. And I think we all really enjoy when we are here. So really looking forward to keep on going on this.
What have you been doing since Birmingham? Have you got any French races under your belt or anything like that?
Honestly, not in Supercross. I had only last weekend or 2 weekends ago, I rode the French Championship in Grenoble, which is a really small track, and the setup of my bike was not really the best, but it's still racing. I need to race Supercross, otherwise I did the ADAC Championship motocross, which I had some good races and fighting on top of the box every races, so it was good, but on Supercross not so much. So I'm really looking forward for this weekend.
I guess you're glad you did the French Supercross, because if that was a small track, what you learned should help you tomorrow night.
Yeah, to be honest, it's good I make it because I came in Grenoble with a way too hard suspension, and was kind of what we're gonna have tomorrow. So we had some new testing during the week, and we tried to improve a little bit on the front suspension to have a better turn. So hopefully it's gonna work.
How's Giacomo been during the time off for WSX? Obviously, he's invested a lot in this team. This team's like his little project. So has he still been full gas, full support, and like really motivated for it?
Yeah, I think it's a question you have to ask to him. From my side, I have a training bike to my home. I have the parts I need. So I don't ask for much more. Supercross, you don't use so much part for the bike. So from my side, what I feel, yes, he have been 100% behind the riders in this long time without any races. So I think he's also pretty happy to be back finally racing, because that's also for him a new project, a new team, a lot of guys working, and I think it's been for everyone a long time to wait, but we're finally here and really looking forward to Australia and hopefully for next year.
Last thing, if I remember right, in Cardiff last year you said that maybe you would do some AMA Supercrosses. So what happened to that plan, and is that the plan for 2024?
Yeah, it was still a plan, for the beginning of 2023. We talked a lot with the team and Giacomo to make it happen. At the end, we didn't find a good things, to go and race there. To be honest, for me, I would really like it before to stop my career, but more on the 250 class. We have to be the 2 feet on the ground. The 450 class in the US is really fast, and they have a lot of experience compared to me. So if I want to do it, I want to do it on the 250. And we will see. Maybe beginning of 2024 we're gonna make it. I don't know still the plan.